Jungkook is your high school bully. In order to teach him a lesson, you won't sneak into his house at night and stole his hoodie. But unfortunately, your phone slipped out of your hands and he found it. Then he started torturing you and flirting with you. He even beat up your boy best friend Ben, who tried to kiss you as a dare. He introduced himself as your boyfriend to your parents. A detailed video of Jungkook teasing and flirting with you is pinned in the comment section below. Please take a look. Ryan's point of view. It was a Wednesday afternoon and I was curled up in my bed watching YouTube videos. I didn't go to school because I'm sick. I was so desperate not to miss a day of learning that I still tried to make it into school this morning. However, I made it no further than the kitchen before I puked all over the clean kitchen floors. My phone then flashed indicating I had a text message and I picked it up assuming it was going to be another text from May or Chloe, checking if I was still alive, but surprisingly it was Jungkook. Are you dead? I rolled my eyes when I read his text. I had changed his number to Satan a while ago because it seemed a much better fit than the self-righteous name he had put in before. I hadn't shown up for one day and the idiot's first thought was that I was dead. Yes, Jungkook, I died. That's strange. I didn't know dead people could text. I just decided to blank him by not saying anything more, but he did not seem to take the hint as I saw 2 new messages pop up on the screen. Look, I know you're sick, Ryan. Do you need anything? Actually, never mind. I'm coming over. See you in 15 minutes. I sat up quickly in shock upon reading the message, not being able to believe his audacity. Since I'm the only one home, I'm going to teach him a lesson and not answer the door. Around 15 minutes later, the doorbell rang as expected. I smiled smugly knowing the idiot was never going to get in. After a few seconds, he rang the doorbell again. Ryan, open the door! Finally, there were no more rings and I smiled triumphantly knowing that he had given up. Suddenly, I heard my front door open abruptly, causing me to narrow my eyes in suspicion. He couldn't have. Just as I had predicted, the door of my bedroom swung open, revealing the one and only John Jungkook. How did you get in? I said with a groan as I started to sit up. I didn't know whether to be impressed or irritated that he managed to get in. He just beamed back at me with a cocky smirk on his face before sauntering his way into the room like he owned the place. With a little friend I like to call a bobby pin, he said, holding up a bent bobby pin proudly. I stared at him in shock. So let me get this straight. You illegally broke into my house with a bobby pin just because I wouldn't open the door for you? I choked in disbelief. It's an eye for an eye, Chubbs. You broke into my house, so it's only fair, he said, giving me a pointed look. But still, you could have at least knocked before barging into my room like that. What if I was getting changed? I wouldn't have minded, he said with a wink. Actually, I think that would have made my day, he chuckled. You're disgusting, I hissed. He didn't even try and deny it and just shrugged his shoulders once more before getting out of the chair and starting to wander around the room. I can't believe I finally made it to Ryan's bedroom, he announced dramatically as he started randomly opening cupboards and drawers for absolutely no reason. He suddenly paused when he got to one drawer. Oh, hot! He waved a lacy, scrappy piece of material in the air with a smirk. I whined in annoyance as I realized he had located the drawer where I keep my bras. Stop being a weirdo and put it back. Nah, I don't think I will. I want to keep it as a souvenir, he teased as he started to stuff it into the back pocket of his jeans. I sprang out of the bed as quick as lightning and quickly ran over to him to snatch it back. He just started to chuckle and held it incredibly high in the air so I couldn't reach. Oh wow, you're a 34 scene up? Clearly things have been going well since those training bra days. Jungkook taunted with a toothy grin. I knew he was referring to my 7th grade days when my chest was as flat as a pancake, which he used to love to make commentary on. Shut up, Jungkook. At least I wasn't all buck-toothed like you back in 7th grade. He just nodded and didn't seem the tiniest bit bothered by my statement. He was lucky his braces sorted well, otherwise he might not be laughing. Just give it back, I yelled angrily as I frantically jumped up and down in the air to try and get it. Suddenly, I paused when I noticed the strange way he was looking at me, or rather, what in particular he was looking. For some reason, his eyes had gone all hooded and dark and seemed to be particularly focused on my legs. What the hell are you looking at? I snapped in annoyance, feeling weirded out by the way he was looking at me. Did he expect me to look like a glamour model or something after lying in bed all day? Jungkook coughed awkwardly and momentarily dragged his eyes away from my body to look back up at me, but it looked like he had to physically fight himself to do so. I didn't know you slept without pants on, he said, scratching the back of his neck awkwardly. What the hell he was on about? Oh no! My eyes widened in horror as I immediately looked down and made a little pathetic cry sound when I realized that I was only wearing a hoodie, meaning my underwear was completely on show for Jungkook. I was so focused on getting my bra back that I completely forgot that I hadn't put any pants on today. No, no, no! I screamed in panic as I dashed back over to my bed and dived underneath the covers to protect whatever dignity I had left. I heard him chuckle and walk over to me before taking a seat at the edge of the bed. Chubbs, he sighed as he tried to pull the covers away from my face, but I was holding them with a tight grip, too embarrassed to even look at him. Can you blame me? He had literally seen me in my underwear for an uncomfortably long period of time. This is so humiliating. I'm more than happy to flash you my pants too, if it will make you feel like less of the odd man out, Jungkook said with amusement in his tone. Actually, I think that would probably make things 10 times worse. Suddenly his eyes locked onto my hoodie. Hey, isn't that mine? He said in confusion. It was his hoodie. It was the one I had stolen from him the night I had broken into his house. No, we must have the same one, I said with a nervous chuckle. He hummed, looking completely unconvinced. He then surprised me by practically climbing on top of me. I widened my eyes, realizing he was probably looking for the label. Hey, don't touch it, I said weakly, but it was too late. Aha, it's definitely mine. It literally says Jungkook on the back. Would you like to explain yourself, Chubbs? I looked away in shame, knowing full well that I shouldn't be wearing it, but in my defense, his hoodie was comfortable as hell and it smelled really nice like him. Okay, fine. I stole it from your room the night I stuck in, I said with a defeated sigh. Also, don't expect me to give it back though. It's mine now, I snapped possessively. The hoodie and I had formed an emotional bond in our short history together, and he had to fight me for it if he wanted it back. Jungkook held his hands up defensively. Don't worry, I don't want it back. Besides, I quite like the way you look in it, he said softly with a proud smile spread across his face. His gaze then rose and fell on me. I don't know if I was imagining it, but it felt like he was inching closer to me and decreasing the already minimum distance between us. He swallowed harshly before dropping his eyes down to my lips, pausing on them for an unusual amount of time. Oh no, was he going to kiss me? There's no way in hell that Jungkook would ever kiss me. I wouldn't sit this close. I still had a cold, remember? I could throw up at any second. I joked in an attempt to try and break the weird atmosphere that seemed to be building up in the room. It seemed to work and the weird look in his eyes faded and he snapped out whatever trance he was in. He let out a soft chuckle. I don't mind. I would get to miss a few days of school. Why do you think I came here? He smirked. How are you so smart with such a delinquent attitude? His eyes then lit up. Oh yeah, that reminds me. I took the initiative to go to all of your classes to pick up all the work that you missed today, he said as he jumped off the bed and started rummaging through his bag. And I even picked up some extra credit work for you too, he said with a smirk. You're welcome, he laughed. Jungkook refused to leave my house despite me constantly persisting that I was fine staying by myself. He was so irritatingly stubborn that it didn't take long for me to give up arguing and just let him stay. We were now downstairs in my living room watching some random episode of my favorite TV show, The Vampire Diaries. I was now sat sideways on the sofa with my legs strapped over Jungkook's lap. I sneakily put them there a while ago when I couldn't find anything to elevate my foot on. I had expected him to shove my legs off, but surprisingly, he didn't bat an eye and just let me keep them there. Damon is so hot. The stupid main character doesn't realize how lucky she is to have someone as hot as him fawn all over her, I said as I admired the beautiful sight of the hot male actor on the screen. Jungkook jerked his head to face towards me with lightning sharp speed. He shot me a nasty look as though I had just spat on him before rudely shoving my legs off his lap. Hey, what the hell is your problem, Jungkook? That's no way to treat a sick person. Well, maybe Damon can be your footrest, he spat bitterly. His face screwed up as he said his name as though it was poisonous. He's not even that good looking. You have bad taste in guys. I heard Jungkook mumble underneath his breath in a barely audible voice. I just rolled my eyes and rudely dumped my leg back onto his lap again. What? Sue me. He's a good footrest, okay? Jungkook glanced over at me with an unimpressed look on his face. I'm not taking them off, so get over it, I snapped. Also, I don't have bad taste in guys. Thank you very much. Then his eyes lit up in excitement. Fair point. You did admit that you thought I was the most attractive guy in the room when we played Truth or Dare. He chuckled with an enormous grin on his face. I was hoping he had forgotten about that embarrassing little slip-up. Don't flatter yourself, Jungkook. I lied. I was only trying to win you back in my good books because you were ignoring me, I explained quickly, making sure to keep my tone level and calm as not to come off as suspicious. The happiness in Jungkook's eyes quickly swiped away and was instantly replaced with a dull and lifeless look of disappointment. Oh, he said simply. Jesus Christ, he seriously bought that? I felt the muscle of my face relax in relief, happy that I managed to worm my way out of him teasing me for once in my life. We then continued to watch the episode in comfortable silence. Just as I felt myself nodding off slightly, I was immediately jolted awake when I felt a hand trail up on my leg. I then felt his hand creep slightly higher and move to rest on the inner thigh before lightly starting to stroke the skin there. I looked at Jungkook's face briefly to see if he was doing it on purpose to wind me up, but his eyes were still glued to the screen and he seemed completely oblivious to my reaction to his touch. My heart was beating so fast, I might as well have been running a marathon. His fingers against my skin was driving me absolutely nuts. My eyes enlarged in surprise when I felt his hand drive up even higher to rest on my upper bare thigh. His hands now underneath my shorts. My poor heart was seconds away from giving up altogether. I turned to face him again in suspicion, but he was still solely focused on watching the show. He suddenly turned to face me. Why are you looking at me? What's the matter? He asked in concern. I just coughed awkwardly and widened my eyes before shooting a pointed look to the positioning of his hand, hoping that this would silently communicate the issue. He jumped in shock as though he was equally as surprised to see his hand there too. He tore his hand away from my leg so fast, it was almost comical. I'm so sorry, I had no idea, he blurted as he furiously avoided eye contact and a faint red blush spread across his cheek. I laughed, finding amusement in his embarrassment. It's fine, I barely even noticed, I lied smoothly. Gradually, after the exchange of a few awkward glances, we both turned into the television show. Jungkook's hands remained incredibly rigid, as still in his lap as though he was terrified they might go for another excursion. The familiar jingle of my doorbell. Neither of my parents were supposed to come home for another 2 hours, so I had no idea who the hell was at the door. Crap, is that your dad? Jungkook said with a panicked voice as he sat up straighter in alert. I took in his frightening expression and snorted. Well, for your sake, let's hope not. Just wait here, it's probably just a salesperson. I swung the door open and my eyes immediately landed on Ben. "Oh, hey Ben, what brings you here?" I said as I eyed him up and down with a confused smile. "I just wanted to check up on you since you called up sick to work." He swallowed. "You're not avoiding me because of what happened at the party, right?" Ben asked cautiously. I tilted my head in confusion before I realized he was talking about our almost kiss. "Oh no, of course not. I'm actually sick," I laughed. "I have got snotty tissues to prove it," I said as I fished out of my pocket as proof. "Thank God, I thought you hated me for sure," he said, letting out a massive sigh of relief. "Wait, why would I hate you?" I said in confusion. "I just figured that since Jungkook lost it at the party, that there clearly must be something going on with you two. I should have asked before trying to kiss you. I put you in an uncomfortable situation and I'm sorry," he explained guiltily. I almost burst into laughter at his incredibly incorrect assumption. "We are not," I started to say before I noticed Ben's eyes were no longer focused on me but whatever was behind me. Curious, I turned around and my eyes widened as I saw Jungkook standing directly behind me. For some reason, he had undergone an outfit change and stood before me completely shirtless. The extraordinary shocking sight of Jungkook without a top on completely robbed me, and I had absolutely no memory of what I was about to say. It was a bit of a fight, but I eventually managed to rip my eyes away from the mass of well-sculptured body to look at him. His eyes glinted with mischievous energy, which immediately alerted that he was up to something. He dragged his eyes away from me and surveyed Ben, who was still looking awkwardly on my doorstep. "Hey Ben," Jungkook greeted confidently. I looked between the two of them in confusion, as they seemed to engage with some kind of weird intense staring match. Well, the intensity was mostly on Jungkook's side. Ben just looked scared. Then before I could even construct another sentence, I felt Jungkook grab me around the waist. I stumbled back in surprise and fell clumsily on the bare surface of his chest. I was instantly hit with the strong, intoxicating smell of his cologne, and I tried my best not to breathe it in. Just when I thought things couldn't get any crazier, he then proceeded to lean down and press a kiss against the back of my neck before moving to rest his chin in the crook of my neck. "Let's go back to bed," he whispered in a raspy and rather loud voice. I almost choked as I heard those words left his mouth. "We weren't in bed. What the hell are you on about, Jungkook?" I hissed in confusion as I scrambled to free myself from his grasp. He was holding on to me so tightly that my struggle was barely even noticeable. Ben, who I had almost forgotten was there, cleared his throat awkwardly, and I blushed as I glanced up at him. "This looks so bad. It looks like I just blew off work to mess around with my boyfriend." Ben shifted nervously in his place and looked even more comfortable than I did. "Look, Jungkook, I'm sorry about the other night. I would have never have gone near her if I knew you guys were a thing," Ben explained apologetically. "But," I started to say, but Jungkook talked over me. "Don't worry about it. I overreacted. I just get a little possessive sometimes," Jungkook said with a chuckle as he wrapped his arm tighter around me. "Great. I'm glad we are cool," Ben laughed. "I'll see you guys at school. Have a good night, guys," Ben replied happily and headed back out. For more videos, please subscribe this channel. Have a great day, dear ones. Bye.